He finds the back of the net again. It's Ross Stewart with an equaliser this time. Oh, what a header that is! And it's Ross Draper who has Ross County in front.
Back into Ollie Shaw. Yes, that's it. And Ross Stewart, Halls County level.
Kelly delivers.
It's flicked on and it's in. It's Ollie Shaw again.
Welcome to the latest episode of the official Ross County podcast, the only place that breaks down the on the field and the off the field here at the Global Energy Stadium. I'm your host, Dale Prem McDonald, and we have a great panel with us tonight. Former Ross County striker Stephen Craig, RCFCTV's Jamie Lyall, and who will ever forget the 94th minute equaliser in the J-Land. Welcome home, Jamie Lindsay. Jamie, Lindsay, welcome back.
Thank you.
A promotional lucky charm. You left County after taking us from the Championship to the Premiership, and then you go to Rotherham and you go from League One to the Championship. What is it about you and promotions?
I don't actually know, but to be fair, the first season at Ross County was obviously a relegation, so it was obviously nice to get promotion straight back. And then obviously last season, I think we were second up until obviously the COVID stuff kind of kicked in, and then luckily enough we got promoted. So it's been good so far, and kind of just enjoying the experience of playing the Championship.
Well, that's the part I was going to come on to. You're now pitting yourself against, you know, what a lot of people call the sleeping giants of English football. Nottingham Forest, as an example, Derby, that have huge reputations in the game, and you've also got players in that league now like Rooney, which as a boy is the kind of games that you want to be playing and the kind of players you want to be playing against.
It's crazy, when you think about it. I was like 5 years ago, I was with Stephen at I went and wanted in Barton. So when you look at that, 5 years, and now I'm playing the Championship, it's crazy, but it's football. If you work hard, then obviously you need to be better luck to go your way, and thankfully it's happened, and now I could be playing against somebody like Wayne Rooney, who I grew up kind of watching every Saturday and match of the day. So it's brilliant, but obviously at times you need to kind of pinch yourself and kind of realise what's happening. And
Jamie, you've also notched a couple of goals this season. I think they both came in the same game. Must be a huge boost for your confidence so early in the campaign.
Exactly. I think to start with this season, it was just kind of, for me, it was kind of proving I can play at this level. Obviously, I've never played at this level before, so obviously when you're a player and you start the season, you kind of want to start off well, and so for me to score the two, it was a derby as well, to be fair, which I knew it was a derby before the game, but I didn't know how big it was until after it, so it was massive after it. But to score 2 goals in kind of any game and at this level, then it's obviously good for your confidence, and hopefully I can kick on for that.
Well, Jamie, listen, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. I know our fans will probably be chuffed that we managed to get you on, especially in the back of just playing last night. Coming on now to Jamie Lyall. Jamie, you've been a prominent figure front and centre of RCFCTV for us this campaign. I think few will forget your quote at the St Mirren game calling Michael Gardyne an old war horse, but we'll let that one lie.
First of all, Michael Gardyne, who's certainly not let me forget that one.
Listen, Jamie, I think you've got one of the best Twitter bios I've ever come across in my life. Terminally glaiked freelance sports commentator. Explain how you came to that bio.
I think the glakedness you can probably tell by just looking at me even now on Zoom. I'm certainly not made for a career on the small screen in terms of my appearance. That actually stems from when I was at uni. I shared the flat with a good lad, Scott, he was from somewhere leafy and very middle class in English, like Kent or I don't know, Leamington Spa, one of these places that I couldn't point to on a map, but you need a bit of money to be from there. And it's like, Jim, I've read some of your articles, and actually you're surprisingly eloquent. Because I think he just thought somebody with my sort of accent must be thick as mince. So that's where it comes from.
Jamie, as I said, you've been front and centre of RCFC TV this season. How's it been for you?
It's been awesome. I hadn't had really any great involvement with Ross County other than reporting on games. I hadn't been to the stadium in a professional capacity before, and it's been phenomenal right from the very start. I don't think there's many club chairmen or club owners in terms of Roy McGregor who would actually phone you up, ask you to get involved in a project like this. I mean, I can't, no disrespect to the guy, I can't see Dermot Desmond or Dave King ringing you up to say, hey, come on Celtic or Rangers TV, this is what we want to do. The project's been so invigorating, so much fun to be a part of, the ethos of the club, the community focus of the club, I think has really shone through in what we're trying to do, and the team that we've been working as part of, or I've been working as part of, has been outstanding. It's been so professional, so organised. Colleagues we've got, and the likes of yourself as well, Dale, who do all the work behind the scenes in the week to make it all come together, has been outstanding. And I think we've delivered. It's been a really professional, polished package that would rival anything else that's out there in terms of club TV channels. So yeah, it's been phenomenal to be a part of, and to feel like you're contributing to that experience for fans who at the moment can't get along to the ground, can't watch matches in person. So no, it's been tremendous, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Well, Jamie, we're grateful to have you with us tonight. Thank you for giving up your time to come on to the show. Finally, to my bottom left, Mr. Stephen Craig. Stephen, I think we spoke last time was the end of May, when we were looking back at this 2010 Scottish Cup run, and we were doing some features around that. Since then, how's things been with you?
Not bad. Obviously, sort of came out the front end of a pandemic, and things kind of got back to normal again. Grassroots football and academy football got into some normality. Then obviously we struck down again in the last few days with a second lockdown. So it's been disappointing, because I think everybody's craving what it was like before, in regards to everything, like fans back in the stadiums, no restrictions, want to go out for a bite to eat or a drink, and I just think it's been well documented, but 2020 has been a bit of a write-off, and I think everybody on the Zoom tonight will agree that it'll be a year that they won't be sad to see the back of.
Absolutely. You've got Planet Soccer, obviously, which is an independent thing. You're also part of Dundee United's academy as well. How have you found the kids have reacted to the whole thing? Because it's been a very tough process for them too.
We noticed it when we first started back. I think it was around about August. Obviously non-contact stuff, especially younger kids that were involved in the Planet Soccer programme. A lot of them were struggling with anxiety and things like that. And obviously during lockdown they hadn't been very active, so I think they came. They were fit, and I think their t-shirts and their shorts were a wee bit tighter than they used to be. But it was just great to get them back, and we're so fortunate as a business where we're based in West Lothian and in Edinburgh, that we've got the coaches that we've got working for us. Obviously, we've got Danny Lennon. We had Alan Mabry working for us as well before he went down to Oldham. And we've just recruited really well, and the kids and the parents have just bought into what we try and do. And again, it's been disappointing, like I just touched on before. We got going for 2.5-3 months. All our own sessions were really stacking up, and it was a big case on it's good in their fitness, and it was our mental well-being as well. We noticed kids had a smile on their faces, and it was the end of summer. We managed to run we ran a camp in September and October, and it's just really disappointing, obviously, for West Lothian. Went into Tier 4 on Friday, and it's kind of the first question was that my phone was going live. It was just the parents asking, are we still continuing? So we've just have to continue in Grass Parks, and because obviously the facilities are shut, and I think it's so important to just keep the kids going. Not so maybe their football skills, but just their health and well-being. I know we touched on it just off air that Dundee United was the exact same. The academy director Andy Goldade worked wonders, really, tirelessly just to get structures in where squads weren't overlapping. There was one way in out of training and one way out, which is so hard when you've got teams you've got 2012 teams all the way up to under like the 2004s, and done a miraculous job. And the game we were restricted to who we could play, then again just got it back up and running, and then obviously this is started again, and so it's not great. I know people keep saying that everything wants to go back to normal, so people can have a normal Christmas. But I just think enough's enough now, and I think it's just like I say, it's just people want not that normality back, and I think a normality, and especially in Scottish society, is to get fans back in the stadiums.
Well, absolutely. You take us on to the first point I want to speak about tonight. We've been very fortunate. We've been a Tier 1 area that we've had 300 fans in for 3 games now. We're going to get that for the Rangers team coming up on the 6th of December. How important is it, Jamie Lindsay, that the whole UK gets fans back in the stadium?
It's massive. We've played how many games this season? We've had obviously nobody. So even like Ross County having 300 fans, I know it's not a lot, but it's something, do you know what I mean? Well, at least the players have still got a wee kind of buzz, but it's massive. It's not the same. It's you keep trying to tell yourself it's obviously in the day it's a game of football, but that's the full thing about it. You go to stadiums and you play teams, and you go away, you go to their stadiums, and the stadium's packed, and you miss it. It's just, it isn't the same. And even at home, it's not even a kind of advantage playing at home anymore because there's nobody there. So I think the quicker it gets back to normal, then obviously it's best for everyone, but hopefully it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, you know, we played 2 pre-season friendlies at Livingston and Celtic before the league campaign started. And we went to those stadiums and there's absolutely nobody there. You come into the league, you almost get used to it. And I remember the first test game that we had here against Celtic. I was out doing pitchside, doing press with Stuart Kettle before the game, and the players came out at the same time, and you could hear the fans clapping. Mm-hmm. And it completely took you aback, and everyone, we were mid-interview, everything just stopped, and we turned, and it was that sense of, we've gone 6-7 months without hearing even a clap, even a cheer, and just to hear that, and the atmospheres have been strange. Jamie, being at most of our games, how have you found it without fans?
I think, broadly speaking, being at football games or rugby games, as I've been very fortunate enough to have done in my work at a time when lots of folk obviously can't, thousands of folk can't, and I certainly don't take that lightly. But sport without fans is crap. Let's not beat around the bush. It's rubbish. I'm sure, you know, I'll leave it to the guys that have actually played professional football to talk about how it feels on the pitch. But even just being in the ground as a reporter, first of all, you feel very lucky to be there. But that aside, it is rubbish. It's, you know, sport is theatre. It's there to be enjoyed. It's there to be revelled in by supporters. And without that backing, without the sort of partisan atmosphere you get, the banter, the chants, the shouts. I mean, I was listening to a rugby podcast the other day, and Chris Ashton, the former England player, was saying, "I can't wait till fans are back. Just that first abuse I get, the first shout I get, somebody calling me a swear word, I'll be like, oh yes, here we're back in amongst it." And even, you know, not condoning abuse from fans, of course, but it's such a strange, eerie atmosphere, and I'm not sure you really get used to it. Certainly as a reporter, coming into a ground that's empty, there's a red zone, you can't go in, you're walking up and down the stands, there's nobody there, the security presence is you know, minimal. The whole buzz around an event is so much more diminished by absence of those fans, and I think it detracts hugely from sport as a spectacle. And I mean, I'd be interested to know Jamie and Stephen's thoughts on this, whether it's less enjoyable for the players. I'm sure it's strange, but is it less fun to actually play in an empty stadium than it is when you've got 10, 15, 20,000 fans there and chatting? It must be weird.
It's definitely strange. The first time we played, I think the first game was away from home, and it wasn't, obviously you noticed the difference because there was no fans there, but it wasn't until we actually played a home game, and because you used to playing there,
yeah,
and it's normally, I think Rotherham, I think it's 12,000, it holds normally get maybe 11, 12. In the first game that we were there was obviously about 20 people there, and you're even the warm-up, I can remember even the warm-up, the boys looking at each other thinking, this is weird. Like, it's just it's strange. And then as a player now, it's you need to get on with it. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing obviously you can, when the game starts and that, you kind of forget about it. But again, it isn't the same. Like, as you said, like somebody shouting abuse or a goal getting in and celebrating, and it's definitely it's weird.
Do you find it harder to get up for a game beforehand? Obviously, once it starts, you're professional, you do your job, and you're focused on what's happening. But is it harder to sort of get as excited for a game, even when you're going through the warm up, as it would be if it was that 11th?
I know what you mean. Of course, like saying that, and I thought I would maybe be like that, but I think because of the position that I'm in, especially this season, like first time in the championship, I've kind of no time to kind of feel sorry for myself. Or, do you know what I mean? I'm kind of just relishing everything that's there. But I'd imagine it would make obviously a massive difference when the fans are back and you've got that bit of buzz, and it's just it's excitement at walking out the tunnel right at the start of the game and the stadium's packed and you think, here we go, this is going to be good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Stephen, there's been a lot made of everyone's talking about the income problem that it creates, which it certainly does at lower league level. At Premiership level, certainly for us, I think the view is that we need to get the season ticket holders in, because they've gone and put their hands in their pockets this year, knowing that the likelihood was that we weren't going to have fans at the start of the season, and it's trying to maintain their investment and their the emotional investment as well in the club going now into next year. So it's not necessarily for Premiership clubs about trying to generate new income through ticket sales. It's about trying to maintain and keep the investment that's come through season ticket holders for this campaign.
Yeah, it's like you said though, the season tickets. It's like when you buy a season ticket, it's business wise. It's for the next season, so it's like a sort of knock on effect. And I've been kind of annoyed with the way that the English Premiership, and I know it's been well documented about how the lower clubs down there need help because they've not got the financial backing. But if you look at it, that clubs that they have their season ticket sales in before the season starts, that money's already there. So for people, I know a lot of lower teams rely on people paying at the door and maybe hospitality, but I think the big guns, especially in Scotland, that they've got their season tickets in, so that basic money's there. So for them to turn around and plead poverty, I think it's a bit unfair. Like you said, will it have a ripple effect on next year? Will they sell less season tickets? I think looking at it from Ross County point of view, they've seen how strong and how much the fans love the club, so they have bought in bulk with regards to their season tickets. And I think next year, again, we're talking about the whole normality again. I can only see them really going up. But it's the same old story in football. It's the well-off clubs are never really the ones that are heavily punished. It's always the lower league teams. And it's just getting back to your point there. I'm quite glad I'm not playing anymore, because not playing in front of a crowd or someone would, especially like the last maybe 3 or 4 years of my career, would have been hard. I think it's a leveler. I think obviously if you go to Celtic Park, you go to Ibrox, you've not got that crowd behind you, the whole 12-man shout. And I definitely think that I knew as a player I needed that pressure on me. And it's a good point what Jamie made. Obviously he's down there, it's his first year in the Championship, so everything's new to him. He's making an impression. But I think if Jamie was, say, 5 or 6 years older and he had 200 appearances behind him in the Championship, then it's definitely a leveler. I know, speaking to some of my friends down south, that they've found it really difficult, especially home games, to motivate themselves, and it's reiterated in some of the results. There's been a lot of goals conceded. There's been a lot of injuries as well, which I think also boils down to the preparation couldn't have been ideal for teams.
Yeah, and we've all heard, we've spoken about it off air there about Boris Johnson's statement earlier this week about how he's looking at trying to get fans back into the stadia in England. Do you think, Jamie Lyall, this puts the pressure back on the other governments, the other devolved governments now, to try and find a way of creating a sustained return of supporters to matches and sports?
Well, thanks for that lovely, easy question, Dale. Yes, probably. But it's hard to be too critical of them, I would say. because they're facing something that is unprecedented. It's killing a lot of people, and we're at a time of year where there are flus, there are, leave it to virologists to talk about the actual disease, but obviously we're in winter, and it's the time of year where traditionally people get ill with the flu and such, as things are. It does put a bit of pressure on them, I would think, because you've seen recently the statements released by various clubs up here saying, well, hold on, if it's good enough for English fans, why is it not good enough for Scottish fans? I mean, probably it could be done safely. I think the arguments that have been made by clubs are that, well, we've had test events and the contact tracing hasn't identified anybody who's, I think I'm right in saying, who's actually caught the virus as a result of attending a football match in Scotland. And I know some of the rugby clubs in England have been making that same argument. It does, but I think there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the vaccine being announced, the success rates that they've had with that at various institutions. And I think once we start going through that process and the most vulnerable members of society have been vaccinated, because I'm sure there are a lot of elderly fans, especially for a club like Ross County, who live rurally, who at the minute live in a Tier 1 area, who haven't been able to go for a while, who've maybe been shielding for a long time, and might actually feel quite scared or nervous about coming back into a football stadium again. So I think we need to make sure everybody's as protected as they can be before we start allowing fans back in. But it's safe to do so, then yeah, of course, it would be amazing. I think everybody wants to see that.
That was a very politically correct answer.
I've got to be politically correct, it's my job.
Listen, we all hope that we're going to see fans back in stadiums sooner rather than later. So we're going to park that one there for just now, guys. We're going to look at this weekend's last 16 tie in the Betfred Cup at Celtic Park. Whether there was a more difficult tie we could have got in the last 16, I don't think there was, especially with the venue as well. It's a one-off game. The last time these two sides met in this competition was the semi-final in season 2015-16, when Ross County would go on and take that trophy on my shoulder there back to the Global Energy Stadium. Jamie, Lindsay, that's something that surely the players have to take as motivation, is that they have reputation against Celtic in this competition in the past.
Of course, and as you said, it's a cup game, isn't it? So no pressure on Ross County. There's nothing to lose. Not anybody will be kind of expecting Ross County to go to Celtic Park and win. So it's a great opportunity. And as Stephen said there as well, like with no fans in at Celtic Park, then it doesn't make, obviously it's still tough, but it doesn't add that extra thing on top of it. So obviously it's going to be a tough game, but I think you need to go there and get a go, and you've nothing to lose, and you never know what can happen in football. I think Celtic have got Europa League as well during the week. I think it's tomorrow, so even that could be a wee advantage. You never know. So I think you just need to go there with confidence and kind of believe that you've got a chance, and try and take the game to them and see what happens.
Absolutely. Stephen, Craig, there's been a lot of talk and pressure on Celtic this season, which was always going to come given the magnitude of the season that was ahead for them. They're still one of the best sides in the country. You know, they're still the champions. They've still won the last 11 domestic silverware. You know, they've got a great chance to make it 12 against Hearts in the final. You know, there's still going to be an incredibly difficult challenge, regardless of any criticism that they're facing at this point in time.
It's probably the best time to get them just now. I think any dip in form is always going to be highlighted, and obviously the last 6 weeks, and for Celtics and Neil Lennon standards hasn't been good enough. And I know not just Ross County, but the Highland teams do have that in their armour, sort of, to go down to Glasgow or go down to Central Belt and win in latter stages of the cup competition. So if I was Stuart Ketwell or the backroom staff at Ross County, that's what Jamie said. The message would be to go down there and have no fear. And again, I know I've got a lot of friends who are Rangers fans, and they see it as if Celtic don't win and Neil Lennon loses his job. I don't know if it's that cutthroat, but from the Ross County point of view, just again what Jamie's saying, go down there, have absolutely no fear whatsoever. it's 11 men versus 11 men, and they've not got the crowd behind them, and there will be an extra pressure there from Celtic's point of view, where they have to perform. They need a performance and a result, whereas Ross County just need, when it comes 90 minutes, they need to be the one that's scored more goals than Celtic.
Jamie Lyall, you were here at the match back in September, where Ross County lost out 5-0. Stuart Keller was talking about it in his press conference today that, 4 set pieces, he probably that it wasn't a fair reflection on the game. I know I certainly didn't. And, I think the chances that Ross created on the day, again, if we talk about trying to build confidence and trying to see, there are going to be opportunities there, because earlier in the season, Ross County were able to create the opportunities and exploit certain areas of the pitch.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a free shot, isn't it? Nobody is expecting Ross County to go down there and turn Celtic over. But as the guys were saying, Celtic have been on a really disappointing run from their perspective, from their high standards of winning so many games over the last few years. Neil Lennon has come under a bit of pressure. And I was really impressed with how County played in that game up here in Dingwall. I thought the football they played was really nice. I know Stuart wants to play that sort of attacking, expansive football, good distribution, a lot of ball players in the midfield. And I thought the chances they created were very good. There was 1 or 2 Ross Stewart had that on another day you would probably expect him to take, or at least hit the target. And I thought 5-0 was a bit of a harsh outcome. And I would just like to see at the weekend Ross County go down there and really have a go, really get after Celtic. Not because I think Celtic are vulnerable or weak, but because I think that's probably the best chance you've got of beating Celtic. I don't really see, and maybe the guys will correct me on this, I don't really see the point in going down there and trying to sit in.
No point.
I mean, you could just lose the game sitting in. I would rather see County go there, use the likes of Harry Payton, of Charlie Larkin, of Ross Stewart, Michael Gardine, really good attacking players that can, as we've seen, cause Celtic and other big teams in this league problems, and really get after them. It's a shot to nothing. If you lose, well, obviously you're disappointed, but it's not the end of the world. It's a ridiculously tough draw. But I would just like to see Ross County really get at them and try and rattle them. And if they get a lead, then see what happens. Who knows? The pressure is all on Celtic.
Guys, it's an interesting stat that was thrown at me today. One of the journalists was talking to Stuart about how well we played down there in January, and the game was 0-0, and Josh Mallon had a chance ahead. Don Cowie, Lee Irwin also had a chance. These teams have met. Celtic and Ross County have met 29 times, and Ross County are undefeated in 44% of the fixtures. 44% of the fixtures, Ross County have not lost to Celtic. There's teams that would, bite your hand off for that kind of percentage against Celtic just to remain undefeated, regardless of draws, wins. Jamie, Lindsay, how many factors go through a player's head in the lead up to this game? Whether we're talking about the fact there's going to be an empty stadium, the fact the games played in before, what goes through a player's head in that situation?
For me, I don't really think of it, to be fair. I don't know, obviously everybody's different, but I don't really think of it. If I've got a game at Saturday, obviously I prepare all week starting Monday, but I don't really like to think about the game too much, because I think you can get caught up in it too much. At the end of the day, it's, as Stephen said earlier, it's 11 men be 11 men. No matter who they are, it's a game of football. So I think if you can think about it all day and all night and no sleep, or you can kind of relax and be confident in your own ability, and obviously the management team put a game plan together. You stick to the game plan. You know what you're going into the game to do, and if you're relaxed, then obviously you're determined. But you kind of go out on the Saturday and you give it your best, and you try and stick to what you've kind of worked on all week. Because like Ross County this week with the full week to kind of prepare to play Celtic, so they've obviously got a game plan. They'll know what their jobs are. Each player will know what they're meant to be doing, know their roles. So I think if you think about it too much, you get caught up in, I'm playing Celtic, I'm playing Rangers. At the end of the day, it's a game of football. 11 players v 11 players, and if you turn up on that day and do the best you possibly can do, then you're giving yourself the best opportunity.
It's an exciting game that's in prospect on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. I genuinely have a strong gut feeling about something. I'm not going to say which way, but I have a very strong gut feeling. Guys, I want to move on now to look at parts of your career. And Jamie Lindsay, I want to kick this off with you. What's your fondest memory of being a Ross County player?
Probably that goal against Dundee United.
At least I got the intro right.
I'd probably say I can always remember the night. I think we kind of knew if we didn't get beat, we would have basically won the league. And the game wasn't like, we didn't play great, to be fair. And they obviously took the lead. And I think we played Dundee United before that as well. And we were it was all about the wasting time. And it was a frustrating night, I think, all in. And then to score right to the last, basically, kick of the ball. And then I think what when we knew after the game, seeing the Dundee United players, the reaction, even the manager, they were all on the floor. Like, you kind of knew after that we were going to win the league. So I'd probably say that night was probably a great time at Ross County. 2 seasons, I loved it. But I'd say for one standout moment would have been that night.
Who were the biggest dressing room characters that you got on with along that journey?
I was really close with Josh Millen, Don Cowie. Still speak every day, most days. Marcus Fraser, and then obviously you've got Midge was always up to stuff. Craig Curran was in my first year. He was always mad.
Unique.
There's a few. It was, to be fair, it was obviously Ross Draper, Billy Mackay. It was a great. I absolutely loved it. Honestly, I couldn't speak highly enough of my time at Ross County. The management, Ketts and Fergie. I loved it. I loved training. I loved staying there. My missus moved up. Harris moved up. We absolutely loved it. It was probably just the perfect club at the perfect time for me. Like when I moved to Celtic, when I was leaving Celtic, it was probably the perfect club at the perfect time, and I kind of loved every minute of it. And obviously, finishing the way I finished with winning the cup and then winning the league, then it was a great year.
And I believe you've got a soft spot for Dukesy as well. People don't know Dukesy is our sports scientist here, who I think still hangs on every word you say, Jamie.
To be fair, we have a FaceTime call once a week, so he always keeps me up to date on what's happening. And to be fair, he shows me his haircut every week. It's shocking. He needs to get that fixed.
Awful. Stephen Craig, same kind of questions coming to you. What was the most poignant memory of your time here at Ross County?
I know everybody will expect me to say obviously winning the Scottish Cup semi-final, but we got beat in the final, so it was, I don't know, it was a kind of the best of two evils. But I've got really fond memories of my time at County, my 4 seasons up there, and it was just, we had my first year up there, we were probably the best squad in the league, and I think we finished 7th or 8th, and then the 2nd, 3rd and 4th year we just had success. I know we won the All Challenge Cup and won the league, got to cup finals, and so it's hard to pinpoint one. Just having, like what Jamie said as well, I loved living up here. It was great. Had a really good changing room, fully absolute madmen, mind you. We just had a lot of big characters, and we just had a successful team. Derek just got us basically unbeatable at times. We had games where we would change formation 2, 3 times, and it would just be like a shout, and we knew exactly where to go. We were fit, we were really well drilled. So it was good, just a fun time, and like I say, I still look out for the results every week.
And who were the dressing room characters that you got on with, or who were the leaders in the dressing room during those times?
There were obviously big characters, well documented. We had obviously Jimmy Scott, he's off his head. With Midge, who's no change. I think he's getting worse.
No.
we just had a lot of strong characters. I was a strong character. You had Paul Lawson, obviously Sean Higgins, when we first up there, and then we all used to socialise. I know Jamie will probably back me up on this, that there's no great nightlife in Inverness, so I think we exercised every single establishment when we were there. But even like when we used to socialise with Inverness boys and stuff like that, so it was just loads of big characters. Stevie Watt was a big character, and obviously the year we got to the cup final, it's hard. We never had. Well, I know Richie was captain, but we never really had somebody who had to lead the team. There was 4 or 5 leaders in the team who, obviously Barra was there as well. So if you look at that team, that year 2010 team, a lot of the boys went on to have success when they left, which I think is always a sign of a good squad.
Definitely. Jamie Lyall, I want to find out from you, you've been with us for a short time, you've been with us since the start of the season and involved in this exciting project that has been RCFCTV. What's kind of been the highlight for you? Because we've done a lot in terms of the game coverage, but we've done a lot off the field coverage as well.
I think sitting down with some of the players for some of the in-depth interviews that we've done for the channel, some of which will be coming out on the programmes in the lead up to Christmas, some of which have already been out, and really getting to know what makes a player tick. I think one of the telling things that both the boys have just spoken about there was the team spirit. And I think there's maybe something about a bunch of guys being at a club like Ross County, you come up from the Central Belt or from England in some cases, and I'm not sure until you go up there with your agent or however it works when you're going to sign for a club. I don't know if people, certainly I didn't, I was guilty of this ignorance just as a fan or a journal. I didn't realise the depth of the facilities.
I was the exact same.
Beautiful location, you come up and everything's there for you. And that team spirit, it seems to be fostered in, you're in a place that obviously it's not like, you're not going out in Ashton Lane, you're not going out in town in Edinburgh or Glasgow every night. So it's almost like it maybe forces a team closer together. Maybe I'm talking out my backside here, but just the way the boys are speaking about the team spirit there, that seems to be a really key element of what makes Ross County. I think that's come across in what we've been trying to do with the TV channel. But sitting down and speaking to someone like Michael Gardine, who's been there forever, I think it's 3 or 4 spells at the club, record appearance holder, record goal scorer. Some of his stories, absolutely, we couldn't broadcast on the channel. But the love that he has for the club, for the people up here, for the community, having not even come from Dingwall or the Highlands originally, really shone through. So I think moments like that are really special, and I think that's what the fans want to see as well. But yeah, look, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I wonder if that team spirit that the guys are speaking about is in part because of where you are in the country, the social aspect, I guess the scenery all around you. What makes that team spirit come out, do you think, boys?
I think it helps that everybody stays in a close proximity to each other. I know one of the years we all bought a Venga bus, which is well documented as well. I think 7 years chipped in for a 7-seater absolute bucket. Just silly things like that. I think at one point, the only people that actually were staying outside Inverness at the time was Ketts and Gary Wood. I think they were staying in Dingwall. So if we ever had even go, I think Jamie will say, like, I think if as a team to be successful, I think you do have to socialise together, not just when you're there training. Going to Starbucks or I don't know, going for something to eat. I think it's massive, but the whole major part is you're very isolated. Obviously, Perth's an hour and 45 minutes away, and the whole fact that you live in a close proximity to each other, it definitely helps. And most of the boys for the 2010, we were all roughly the same age, maybe 4 or 5 years with each other. And again, I think success breeds success. I think if you're successful, it brings teams and boys together.
Jamie, Lindsay, would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, that's it. All the boys used to say that, to be fair. When I first moved up, I knew Marcus Fraser from obviously Celtic. And he always said, to be fair, like, everybody's in the same situation. So there was I don't think there was anybody actually from Inverness. Big Drapes was staying up there, but there wasn't everybody was kind of moved up to the Highlands to play there. So instead of like 2 people going for a coffee, we were turning up for a coffee after training. There was 10, 12 boys all sitting. So everybody was always together every day. You were training, and then after training you were away, going for lunch, going for a coffee, playing FIFA. We used to have a FIFA night. We used to, me, Jason Naismith, Marcus Fraser, Sean Kelly, every Tuesday. It was when the Champions League was on, we used to go to my flat after training, have a FIFA tournament, and then the loser used to buy the dominoes for the Champions League. So and the loser was always Jason Naismith, to be fair. So there's always a free dominoes.
That's my biggest bugbear is when I see all these players that still play PlayStations, Xboxes. Now I'm only 28 and I can't. So seeing boys coming around, and now they've got these fancy cases that they can take them portably to, and that to me is just mind blowing. No, just no. Guys, listen, it's been great conversation tonight. We covered a few topics. The last thing we've got to do is we're going to play our new feature called The List. After last week, we changed the format. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys a topic, come to you one by one for an answer. The first person that can't give me a correct answer or can't give an answer full stop will drop out, and we'll go to the final between whoever 2 survives. First topic tonight, guys, I need names of MLS teams. So that can be USA teams in the Eastern or the Western Conference of the MLS. I will count you one by one for one answer, and we'll keep going in the loop until someone cannot answer or gives a wrong answer. Jamie, Lindsay, going to come to you first.
Orlando City.
Yep. Stephen Craig.
Toronto FC.
Yes. Jamie Lyall.
Portland Timbers.
Good call. Jamie Lindsay.
LA Galaxy.
Yep. Stephen Craig.
San Jose Earthquakes.
Well done.
Wow.
Inter Miami.
Inter Miami, yes. Jamie Lindsay.
New York City.
Yep. Stephen Craig.
New England Revolution.
Yes. Jamie Lyall.
Atlanta United. Have I made that one
Well
up?
done. Yep. Dave Cormack's team. Jamie Lindsay.
Oh no. Is that Red Bull Sunday? No.
New York Red Bulls.
New York Red Bull.
Oh, that was my next one. Bollocks.
Stephen Craig.
Nashville SC. Only know that because it's got initials in it.
Well done. Yeah, Jamie Lyall.
Oh, I'm struggling now.
I'm gone.
Let me think. There's one in Dallas, is there not?
Is there?
Dallas Dashhounds, I don't know. No, I think I'm out, boys.
Jamie Lindsay, you have dropped out. It was FC Dallas. Other answers you could have given: Chicago Fire, FC Cincinnati, Colorado Rapids, Columbus,
Cincinnati. Colorado.
DC United, Houston Dynamo, Los Angeles FC, Minnesota United, Montreal Impact, Philadelphia Union, Real Salt Lake, Sporting Kansas City, and Vancouver Whitecaps. Right, the final, Jamie Lindsay, Stephen Craig, the final of the list. This list is players that have scored 4 or more English Premier League hat-tricks. Players that have scored 4 or more Premier League hat-tricks in England since 1992, since the Premier League was introduced. Jamie Lindsay, I'll start with you.
Alan Shearer.
Yes, he had 11. Stephen Craig.
I didn't want to play my big guns first. Andy Cole.
Andy Cole, yeah, he had 5. Jamie Lindsay.
Michael Owen.
Yes, he had 8. Stephen Craig.
What years we working in between here?
92 until now.
Sergio Aguero.
12. Yep, he was top of the list. Jamie Lindsay.
Terry Henry.
He was 4th on the list with 8. Craig.
Teddy Sheringham.
Teddy Sheringham. Yes, he had 4, so just made the cut. Jamie.
Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney. Yes, 7 hat-tricks for Wayne Rooney. Stephen Craig.
Dwight York.
Dwight York. Oh, he is the last one on the list.
Wow.
That is lucky. Jamie Lindsay.
Jermaine Defoe.
Jermaine Defoe, yep. 4 to his name. Stephen Craig.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. Yes. 8 Premier League hat-tricks for Harry Kane. Jamie Lindsay.
No. Dennis Bergkamp.
Stephen Craig, you've just won the list. Other answers you could have had, guys. Robbie Fowler had Robbie Fowler, Luis Suarez, Dimitar Berbatov, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Robin van Persie, Ian Wright, the Yak, Yakubu, Kevin Campbell, Les Ferdinand, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Matt Letitia, Raheem Sterling, Chris Sutton, Carlos Tevez, and Fernando Torres. Stephen Craig, congratulations. You have won this week's list. Stephen, Jamie Lindsay, Jamie Lyall, thank you for taking the time to join me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've had some great conversation on a range of topics. Everyone that is watching or listening, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
He finds the back of the net again. It's Ross Stewart with an equaliser this time. Oh, what a header that is! And it's Ross Draper who has Ross County in front.
Back in Jolie Shaw. Yes, that's it. And Ross Stewart, Halls County level.
Jelly delivers.
It's flicked on and it's in. It's Ollie Shaw again.